going on, my dudes? I hope you guys are all doing well. Today, I've got a really practical tip that you can implement into your own video creating process, and it will take whatever videos you're currently creating and just make them that little bit better. The best part is that this tip doesn't only apply to a specific camera or a certain type of video. It's a broad principle that you may not have thought about, but you've definitely noticed, and it's all about filming your videos with sequences in mind. You see, it doesn't matter what kind of video you're creating, whether that be a travel video, a wedding video, maybe a video for your business or your social media. If you're filming with sequences in mind, not only will your videos become more cohesive, but they will also be more engaging for your audience and better help your point get across. So if you've never heard of this before, a shot sequence is essentially just a group of shots put together that create some desired effect. Quick example, here's a shot. And here's a shot sequence of the same thing. That's what I'm trying to get at. When you're filming a video, it can be really tempting to just capture an action or an event and then move on to the next thing. For example, when I first started out and I was traveling, I would see something that I thought was really cool, I'd grab a quick clip of it, then I'd put my camera away and move on to the next thing. And I would hope that maybe in a month or two when I got back into the editing room and I tried to put together a video, I'd have enough stuff to create something that was really special and engaging and led my audience to feel something. Unfortunately, that way of filming didn't work out for me, and it wasn't until after the fact when I went to edit that I really began to realize that without filming in sequences, it was really hard to get a message across or convey a point. You see, as a videographer, you understand what you're trying to show the audience and what you're taking a video of, but your audience only understands what you're showing them. So by creating sequences within your films, not only are you providing more information, but you can also focus on specific things to really get a point across. For example, here is a shot of Jennifer, and Jennifer is actually one of my clients who I do some video work with down in Vancouver, and she operates a mobile hearing clinic. Earlier this year, COVID totally shook up the way that Jennifer was doing business, so she wanted to create a video that she would be able to send to her clients to show that she's taking the proper precautions and steps to keep them safe. So in this video that we created, we wanted to focus on her first and foremost, her vehicle as she does these mobile hearing clinic stops going to people's houses, as well as the COVID-19 gear that she's using. Now, obviously there's many ways I could have filmed this, but one of them, and what I may have done when I first started filming, was just taking one shot of her getting out of her car, putting her gear on, and then walking up to the door. By doing that, I would have completely missed the opportunity to focus on her specific gear, which is one of the core purposes of this video. I would have missed the opportunity to show some more of Jennifer's personality and what she looks like rather than just seeing her back, as well as her car and where it is that she's at someone's house. There's so many details that you can only get across to a viewer by taking different angles and sequencing something together. So now let's look at how I actually captured it with a sequence of shots. First off, I used that wide shot to establish where we were, the fact that we were at her car and she was getting out, and that we were going into someone's house. I then used some medium shots to showcase that we're supposed to be focusing on the car and herself as she's getting ready, and then I used some tight shots to finally finish off the sequence and showcase the specific gear that she's actually using. Now, in my opinion, to an uninformed viewer, this sequence of shots paints a much better picture of what Jen actually does. Not to mention, it's more engaging and faster paced than it would have been to just have one wide shot showcasing her putting on her gear. Had we just left it with that one wide shot, I can imagine most people would have tuned out and clicked off the video, and if they didn't, they would be confused as to the story that we're trying to tell and what Jen actually does. Now, that's great and all, but I'm sure you're wondering, how can I apply this to the videos that I'm creating and actually make a difference? And I'm glad you asked, because I'll tell you. But first, I want to give you a word from this week's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community filled with thousands of classes available for all types of creatives. It doesn't matter if you're into filmmaking like me. If you are, they have tons of classes for that, but they also have classes for things like cooking or drawing. When Skillshare reached out to me, I personally wanted to give it a try, so I got on board with Christopher Rhodes' Video on a Budget class. Among many other things, I personally found his process in creating treatments that he uses to then pitch video ideas to clients very interesting, and I'll totally take some of those points away and add them to my own process. A Skillshare membership is less than $10 a month if you pay annually, and in my opinion, that's an insane deal. Beyond that, the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description of this video will be able to sign up for a free trial of a Skillshare Premium membership. Check it out. So, when building out a sequence, the general rule of thumb is to film it in 3 parts: a wide shot, a medium shot, and a tight shot. The wide shot is going to be used to set the scene for your viewer. Then the medium shot is going to be showing the viewer what they should be focusing on specifically within that scene, and then the tight shots are going to be helpful to get across details. Now, how do you do this when filming? Well, you have 3 main options. The first is going to be multiple takes, the second is going to be multiple cameras, and the third is going to be pre-planning. I generally use multiple cameras for things like events where you can't really tell people to stop and redo things, and sometimes where things only happen once. A great example of this is a wedding. As much as you sometimes want to redo shots so you can do it just a bit better, you can't really do that, and you don't have that luxury when you're filming something like a first kiss. If I'm shooting a wedding with multiple cameras, I'll generally have one person on one of the cameras filming medium and wide shots, and have the other person kind of solely focusing on those tighter shots, those detail shots. That way that when the groom is getting ready, or the bride is putting on her dress, or there's the first kiss, you don't have to interrupt the day and stop the flow to say, can you redo that so I can build out a sequence? Or can you redo that so I can get a wide shot and then a tight shot? It's much easier for things like events if you have 2 cameras rolling at all times and are able to capture these actions as they happen and have multiple angles to work with after the fact. A good example of utilizing multiple takes would be if I'm filming a client video with 1 camera. To do this, I essentially choose the shot that I want, and then I have the talent to replicate that shot 3 times. I film it once in its entirety with a wide shot, I film it the second time in its entirety with a medium shot, and I film it the third time in its entirety with a tight shot. Now, having captured that scene in its entirety in 3 different ways, when I get back to the editing room, I'm able to create a good sequence. Now, if I'm filming a travel video where things are a lot more sporadic, I do my best to plan my sequences. I will see something that I know I want to include in my video, and then I will do my best to anticipate how that thing or that action will unfold so that I'm able to capture it in the best way possible. Let me just give you an example. Let's just say I'm walking down the streets of India and there's this man who's making yogurt. And let's say that I had tried this yogurt and this was some of the best yogurt that I'd ever tasted. Now, obviously, I need to include this in my travel video because that was some of the best yogurt I've ever had, but this guy is not paid talent. This guy is not part of my project. So how on earth can I capture this man making yogurt in an efficient way that I'm then able to sequence shots together without buying like 3 or 4 yogurts? I know that I want a shot of him mixing the yogurt, but I also want to be able to show the store that he's in. So I start off the sequence with a wide shot. I then move in a bit closer to get a medium shot to show his personality and the fact that I want you to focus on him specifically mixing the yogurt. Finally, I pick off a tight shot to show his creation as he pours the yogurt into the tiny cups to complete the sequence. You see, by sequencing all of those shots and putting them together, it makes the final product so much more engaging, and it tells so much more of a story to the audience than just one shot would have done by itself. Now, none of this is anything new. If you pay close attention next time you're watching a movie, everything is filmed in sequences. However, when sequences are done well, they flow seamlessly, so it's really easy to overlook and not realize what went on behind the scenes, and then you can have that disconnect when you're looking at your own videos and looking at the movies and going, why do they not quite line up? This is a big reason. Be sure to leave a comment down below. I want to know what kind of videos you guys are making and if this tip was any help. I appreciate every single one of you so much, and I'll see you all in another one.